All right, today we're diving into the work of a really fascinating artist and poet who makes us think about time, memory, and art itself in a pretty profound way. And it all starts with this one simple question.
I mean, just think about that for a second. It's a beautiful question, right? Kind of paradoxical. How can you possibly take something so small, so finite, and make it last forever? Well, that very question is really at the heart of everything we're looking at today.
And this is the artist we're talking about, Avalok. We're going to explore their work by looking at one specific poem from their collection, Versology. And this piece, let me tell you, it perfectly captures their entire philosophy. Avalok calls himself an artist, poet, navigating life with purpose. I love that. It tells you right away that we're dealing with someone who is incredibly intentional about their work, about how they see the world. It's not just about pretty words, it's a whole way of being. And here it is. This is the core idea, the mission statement. Art is about stretching canvas inches to infinity, fleeting moments into light years. It's this absolutely beautiful concept that the whole point of art is to grab something small and temporary and give it a kind of permanence. So, here's the key takeaway. Avalok's philosophy is all about preservation through expansion. You take a single fleeting moment, a conversation, a shared look, a feeling, and you use art to make it last forever, to give it the weight and scale of a light year. So how does that actually work in practice? Let's take a look. We're going to dig into a poem called Manipedia, and it's just a perfect, really moving example of how to turn a bunch of little passing moments into something totally timeless and important. So the poem kicks off in a very simple, everyday kind of place. The headquarters, the HQ, is just this little shop that sells magazines and candy. You know the type. It sounds ordinary, almost insignificant. But it was anything but. Because this simple shop was the absolute heart of a community. It wasn't just a place you went to buy stuff, it was where life actually happened. It was where everyone met up, shared stories, talked cricket, and just dealt with life, you know? It was the spot. And then you get this line. So simple, but man, is it powerful. It just connects everyone. With all the studying, the moping, and the just plain coping, there was this one unspoken feeling that tied them all together. Hope. Avalonda captures the entire emotional mood of this community in just 4 little words. It's incredible. So as the poem builds, it zooms in on the shopkeeper, a man named Mani. And he was way more than just the guy behind the counter. He was, for all intents and purposes, the community's living, breathing archive. You have to remember, this was a time before social media, before the internet. People like Mani were the social network. He was the central hub, the one person who held all the different threads of the community's stories together. I mean, think about the role he played. He was their message board, their social calendar, and the town's news feed, all rolled into one. He knew the big life events, sure, like marriages, but he also knew the smaller, more personal stuff. Who was in trouble, who might need a hand. He was essential. And this just perfectly lays out the poem's main idea. Avalon calls him Manipedia, before Wikipedia was born. And just look at the difference. Wikipedia is this huge, impersonal collection of facts. But Manipedia, that was a living record of human connection. It wasn't about abstract information. It was about community, gossip, trouble, and just caring. But then the poem just takes this sharp turn. The whole tone shifts from that warm, vibrant nostalgia to the quiet sadness of the present day. The narrator, who was one of those kids at the shop, is looking back from a long, long way away. And you can feel that all the energy of that time has just faded. And this leads to the kinds of questions that, let's be honest, we all start to ask as we get older. What happened to everybody? The community has scattered, time has marched on, and all those connections that Mani held together have unraveled. The narrator wants answers that just aren't easy to find anymore. So where does the narrator go for these answers? Logically, you'd go back to the source, right? Back to the keeper of all the stories. But this is where the poem delivers its absolutely heartbreaking final punch. That human ledger, it's blank. The one person who knew everything, the guy who was the hub of their entire world, can't give them the information anymore. The archive is closed. And the reason why?
Because the keeper of the stories is gone, and with his death, an entire universe of shared memories, of all those fleeting moments, just disappeared with him. The poem itself is now the only record that this vibrant community, this Manipedia, ever existed. It has done exactly what art is supposed to do. It's stretched that fleeting moment into a light year for us to see.
And this whole thing really turns Avalok's philosophy back on us, doesn't it? The poem Manipedia made his simple corner shop and its community immortal. It proves that art really can make a moment last forever. So it leaves us with a final question to chew on. Which of our own fleeting moments would we choose to stretch into infinity?